The question that I get asked more times than any other since my heart attack is, are you ever going to run 100 miles again? And to be honest with you, I don't know how to answer that question, but I'm going to try. I never planned on it, but running became a part of my identity. I've never been like phenomenal at running, but I learned early on that running is almost a form of therapy, and it's almost a form of meditation. Or at least that's what it became for me. I ran my first 5K with my sister in New York. I got involved with this gym where we were doing like obstacle course training, and I started doing 5Ks with the community there, and I started doing Spartan races and did, and I realized when I was doing Spartan race, like I was really bad at running. I was strong and I could do the obstacles, but I could not do the running part. It was so hard, so I wanted to get good at it. So I spent a lot of time trying to get good at running and just running and shin splints, plantar fasciitis. I don't know what shoes to wear. I'm not like a professional athlete. I just got into this for the mental grit that you achieve. And that's one of the main reasons I fell in love with running, was because running takes you places where you physically have to use your 2 feet to get there, but it takes you places inside on a mental, spiritual level that no other act I've ever found has been able to take me to, and especially in the long distance races, which I'm going to talk about. So in 2017, 18, my buddy Luigi asked me to run 50 miles with him at a race. I thought he was crazy. I didn't know people ran that far. I had never ran even a fraction of that in my entire life at this point. And long story short, I told him yes. And we showed up to this race, started just running all the time to try to get ready for this 50-mile race. And, we showed up, we ran 50 miles through the dunes, through the dunes of Jonathan Dickinson State Park in Jupiter. And we went back the following year and we ran 100 miles. And that was my first 100-miler. It was with my buddy Luigi in 2019, I believe, is when we ran that first 100-miler. And then, 2020 came and the world shut down and I didn't know what was going to happen with racing because all the races that I was signed up for were canceled. And then out of 2020 into 2021, there was this group called the Vero Beach Octopus Ultra group popped up, and I saw there was a 100-miler in Vero Beach. So I signed up. This was out of a couple years into COVID. The world was just starting to get going again, and this group was doing a 100-miler, and I was itching to do something. So I signed up, and I showed up to this 100-miler, and I ran this 100-miler, and I completed it. That was my second 100-miler, and I went back the following year, and I did that 100-miler one more time. So as I'm going through the process of doing these races and running and training, I isolated myself from everybody I knew, because the amount of work that it took to become the person that could achieve these feats, it required all my time. Either I was running or I was training some other facet of training, or I was eating or I was sleeping. That was really it back then. Before my kids, when I was doing the long distance races and I got really into it, it consumed everything. So it became my whole identity. Became oh, this guy runs 100 miles. He's crazy. That became who I was. And I was okay with that. But that was just a fact. That was my identity. Running long distances became who I was. It became my method of finding myself on the other side of difficulty. It became my way of taking something that was difficult and compartmentalizing it into smaller, more edible pieces, doing it and getting to the end and finishing and achieving and winning. Not winning the race, winning the battle inside and finishing these tough things. I fell in love back then through running with the idea of being able to do hard things. It's something I carry with me to this day. So when I had a heart attack on February 15th, and previous to that, it was about how far I can run, how fast I can run. And then after my heart attack, I'm stuck wondering if I should ever run again at all. I'm not ignorant. I know that running puts a certain amount of stress on your heart. I know that. And I'm not under the impression that there's zero stress when you're running. So after I had my heart attack and I'm recovering, I went through an identity crisis because I'm thinking in my head, like, I might not actually ever be able to run ever again. So I'm going to say it on the record here. I have every single intention in me to run 100 miles again. I can't say when right now. I can't. But I will run 100 miles again. I'll probably run the Vero Beach Octopus 100 when my kids are just a tiny bit older, so that we could work out the logistics of all that. Unless there's some really good babysitters out there that can help my wife and a crew that I could get rallied up, then maybe I'll do it like sooner than that. But I have every intention of running 100 miles again, but my reasons are different. It no longer is representative of the distance of 100 miles to me. No. The next time I run 100 miles and I conquer the finish line, it's going to be much, much, much more than that. The next time that I run 100 miles and I make it to the finish line, it represents that this heart attack that happened to me does not get to define my future, and it does not get to define my ability to achieve the things that I have been sent here to achieve. Okay? Now, I say that, and I also caveat that with, if it's not meant to be, then it won't. God will show me a sign that I'm not meant to run 100 miles again, if that's the case. But if he does not show me that sign, clear as I'm looking at you right now, then you could bet your butt that I will get another belt buckle at the end of a 100-mile race again. I am not finished. This heart attack does not get to define who I am and wipe out my ambitions for a better Mario in the future than one that was in the past, because my best achievements and accomplishments are not behind me. No, not even close. And if you're a heart attack survivor out there, I want you to know that your best achievements and accomplishments, they don't have to be in the past. We don't got to be the guy telling everybody I used to do this in high school. We don't, or that before my heart attack, I was able to do this, and this. I can't do that anymore. If you physically can't because things have been altered, that's one thing. But you don't need to let it immobilize you into doing nothing and not being able to try to get a little bit, 1% better every single day. It's very important you understand that. And it's very important that I practice that. I am running again. I'm working out again. And my body is doing well. I mean, besides the bruises, my body's doing well. I'm getting strong again. I'm putting on muscle again. And I'm very proud of that. But when I start training and really trying to put my hat in the ring again for 100 miles, I can't tell you right now how my body is going to comply or resist. I could tell you that I'm going to do everything in my power that's safe to get myself back to being in shape to run 100 miles. When you have a heart attack, you don't know what the future holds. Okay, if you don't have a heart attack, you still don't know what the future holds. But somebody that's a heart attack survivor, when you go through that, when you really are the one in the hospital bed that's going through that and being told by nurses and doctors that this is what happened and this is your results of this, and when you're sitting there, you can't foresee a future at that point where you're strong and where everything's okay. In that moment, it's just the uncertainty versus certainty scale tips in a way where it's not even close. You're almost living every single moment is uncertainty. And in that uncertainty, it's very easy for me to be like, I'll never run 100 miles again. And I thought that at that point, I even said that. I said there's no reason for me to ever try to run 100 miles again. I shouldn't really put my heart through that amount of stress ever again. I said that in the hospital. But now that we're building up slowly back and we're getting healthy and we're getting healthier than we've ever been in our entire lives, that's the goal. The goal is not to be okay. I don't want to just be okay after a heart attack. I don't know what you want, and everybody is different, but I don't want to just be okay. I want to be able to become, because I've always wanted to get better and better and better. And now after this heart attack, it's been a major bump in the road. But I want to get stronger than I've ever been. Physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I'm closer to God than I've ever been before. I'm eating healthier than I've eaten in a long time, honestly. And, you know, mentally, I'm doing this every day. It's keeping me like sharp. It's keeping me able to speak about the topics and the emotions that are going on with me. And then that ties into the emotions. I want to be able to voice how I feel in a way that attracts people who feel the same way. Maybe I get to run 100 miles again. Maybe I don't. I'm going to leave it up to God and the hard work that I put in. But what I could tell you is that the heart attack does not get to decide whether I give it my all to try to get there or I stop paralyzed in fear at the idea of even trying. Because that's unacceptable to me. If I try and I fail and I can't do it, I start trying to train, I'm training too much, I'm getting too exhausted, I see the doctor's like, I don't know what you're doing, but this is not good. I gotta make a decision now off of that. But if I don't start trying to get back to 100 miler because I'm afraid, then I've been lying to you guys in every single video that I made. And I think that if you know me by now, you know that that's not the case. So what do? From now until the 100 miler of the future that I have no date for yet, I keep myself in great shape. I keep eating healthy. I keep maintaining a positive mental attitude. I keep being the best father that I absolutely could be and husband. I keep my relationship with God strong and sharp and clear and thankful and grateful and glory to you because you kept me alive, okay? And I stay ready. And I stay ready and I build and build and build and stay ready. And eventually this video will be about my first 100 miler after having a heart attack and surviving at 34 years of age in my widowmaker artery. If you haven't already, please click that button right there. You see that one right there. And subscribe to the channel. Like this, share this, you know, watch the whole thing if you have, well, I guess this is the end. So we're dropping episodes every Sunday at 9 a.m. And the next episode is going to be about the biggest lesson that I learned from having my heart attack. So hit the bell so you get notifications so you can find out when the next episode drops. And thank you guys so much. If you watched this far, please, if you watched this far, comment, I watched this far, and I'm just going to love you forever because I genuinely appreciate it. And I'm trying to get this message out to as many people as possible. And in order to do that, I need good watch time on YouTube so the algorithm pushes me out there. So please,